up in the air, because that is going to make all the difference. That's going to make the difference between the 101 staying open or those houses in Calabasas and in Woodland Hills remaining intact. Hallie?
David, can you stand by for a second, because you have teed us up so well for somebody who I know is also with us, and that's Bill Cairns, who is looking at exactly this, Bill, right?
Is where this Kenneth fire.
We're going to get Bill in just a second, but the forecast for these winds, David, because as you say, that is the X factor here. That is one of the big questions. It is, as you point out, nowhere near how intense it was a couple of nights ago, but there is a concern, right, that next week you could see those Santa Anas pick up again. So this is, again, a live look now from the air at Bell Canyon. They are calling this the Kenneth fire. At last check, now this was a little bit ago, last check it was something like 50 acres, but you did hear our KNBC reporter talk about how quickly this fire is moving. Mandatory evacuation orders in place now. Elsewhere in Los Angeles County, David, you have people, this is an active firefight, just to be clear, what we're looking at on the left side of our screen. On the bottom right side of our screen is the aftermath of some of those firefights that we've seen in the Palisades, that we've seen in Altadena as well, and so many heartbreaking stories of people returning home to find absolutely nothing left.
Yeah, and one of the other concerns there, Hallie, is that the people who are returning to the homes that are still standing, they can't drink the water, for example. They're being told to either boil the water before they drink it or just to not drink it at all. Municipal public services that serve those neighborhoods, sewers, water, all of the things that you use on a daily basis, those were all damaged or compromised, sometimes to the point of non-functionality by these fires. These were absolutely devastating fires. I mean, large swaths of Altadena. At the press conference, that you were playing at the top of the hour, they said somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 structures were destroyed. That's just in the Eaton fire, thousands more in the Palisades fire. The people who are returning to these communities are not going to have very much to return to. The lucky ones whose homes are still standing, the people in the areas abutting those areas who were fortunate enough not to have the fire spread to where they live, but who live in areas abutting where those fires happen, they're also going to have concerns around the safety of the water, around whether these critical public infrastructures are going to be working. Then, not to mention, Hallie, all of the rebuilding that still has to happen. Not to get ahead of ourselves, because, like you said, these are active firefights, right? These firefights are happening, but there is, as we deal with, and as the fire crews deal with putting out these fires and in trying to contain them, which, again, we'll hear Bill talk about this, we don't have particularly good conditions over the coming days, not just because of the wind, but also because of the dryness. It's incredibly dry here, but people here are looking ahead to weeks, months, years, to how long it's going to take to rebuild this, what even is there for them to go back to, and in the short term, if they go back home, are they going to be able to drink the water? Are they going to be able to bring their small children and their pets home, given the air quality issues that are sure to continue for at least a few days, likely longer? This is a very long and drawn-out story in the making. Hallie.
Yeah, no kidding. David Noriega live for us there in the Hollywood Hills. David, thank you so much. Let me get to Gotti Schwartz, who's live in Altadena. And Gotti, as we keep an eye on this Kenneth fire, the one that has popped up just as we have been on the air over the course of the last not even 90 minutes. 50 acres out there by Calabasas, north of the 101. You are in Altadena. We're taking a live look now. That's our KNBC chopper that's up over it. A very active firefight. I'm looking at what's behind you. The aftermath, the wreckage, people's lives, or what's left of them.
Yeah, that's right, Hallie, and we're also watching a couple of things happening. So you've got smoke all of a sudden coming from what we thought was a fire that's been put out here in this building. And then above that, over behind that building that is still standing, look at that. You've got another plume of smoke that's happening out there in the Angeles National Forest. And then way up here in the distance, that's Mount Wilson. We know that Mount Wilson seems to be holding because our cell phone service is holding. Right now, this live shot is still going out, but Mount Wilson is the home to so many communication towers, the infrastructure out here for emergency crews, for law enforcement, for all the television stations here. Mount Wilson is it is the most important communication infrastructure that Los Angeles has, arguably, and that is being threatened because of the Eaton fire. That Eaton fire went up today, it went down yesterday, and the only way I can describe it, Hallie, it felt like a hurricane of fire. Hurricane force winds, everything was swirling, the visibility would just drop to zero, the embers were going sideways, burning everything in their path. Firefighters we saw them out here. They were trying to protect this was a school before.
For those of you just joining us, we are following live yet another fire that has just broken out in the past hour, less than an hour. This is a feed coming in from NBC News. This is live breaking news right now as we're hearing yet another one has unfolded. Breaking new wildfire prompts evacuations. These are mandatory evacuations for this area. And wait till you see the footage when they bring it up. The fire, it's coming up over the hills and it is coming right up to the houses. They're saying less than a quarter mile away. And it is just basically this wall of fire that is coming towards houses. And they're saying that some of them, the backyards are already on fire and it's going right into this suburban area, prompting evacuations in Bell Canyon area in Los Angeles. Now, this is not the Hollywood Hills from last night. This is not the buildings that caught fire early this morning. This is not the Palisades or Eaton. This is yet another fire that is taking place, which raises the question, how are these fires just all happening at once? Now, some people are saying that they're spreading due to the winds. Some people are saying global warming, that is just incredibly perfect conditions for fires to spread at this time. But some people are speculating, let me know your thoughts in the comments, that this is happening on purpose, that somebody is causing these fires. Now, as soon as we get information, I'll be sure to let you know, but I'm going to share with you the latest news coming out as yet another fire has broken out. Absolutely mind-blowing that so many of these are taking place. So again, this is a new one that has just happened in roughly the last hour, and they're saying this is threatening the 101 freeway as well. So that highway, they're saying they're concerned that the smoke is going to make it impossible to drive there, and it is also heading towards nearby homes. Now, if you think that this is being done by somebody, put a 1 in the comments. I also have a poll right now. It looks like 380 people have voted on the poll, and they are saying 9 out of 10 people are saying they believe somebody is doing this. And yet again, another fire that is taking off here. Mandatory evacuations for the brush fire that has flared up in Bell Canyon that is, they're saying, potentially threatening the visibility of the highway. And also, in addition to that, we're also hearing it is coming right up to homes nearby. So I'm going to be keeping you up to speed on this as we've got new updates coming out on this breaking news that's unfolding. I'm seeing all those ones. People are speculating that somebody is starting these fires. The term eco attack is now spreading around. They're saying that this could be an act of terror, an ecological act of terror, as somebody is lighting things on fire. Now, that is not confirmed. That is speculation. I will continue to keep you up to date. You can see the video footage and the photos coming out. Let's go ahead and jump back to the updates coming out live in real time so that way you can hear what they're saying. And don't forget, do me a favor. I know that nobody likes seeing this happen, but if you appreciate the updates, keeping you up to speed as fires are breaking out everywhere, please take a second, hit the like button, subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything so you know exactly what is going on. But let's go ahead and jump back in so you can hear what they're saying.
Hot spots on the Palisades fire, and they were all told to move up to go to this Kenneth fire, and it is in the only windy spot. I mean, most of the winds have been down all day throughout much of Los Angeles. You know, even the Eaton fire as it went up Mount Wilson was going up really slowly. But here's the fire. So this is the radar over the last 2 hours. And if the fires are big enough on radar, we can see the smoke plumes. Here's the Kenneth fire. There was nothing. And then all of a sudden, you see a very well-pronounced smoke plume. And that's how we knew that all of a sudden we had a new big fire start. There's Calabasas. The 101 goes like this out here towards Thousand Oaks. Woodland Hills, the Los Angeles Rams practice about 5 miles from where this fire is located. In poor Malibu, this smoke plume is going right over the top of you. I mean, Pepperdine University too. Yeah, the Franklin fire. You had a deal with the Palisades fire became within 2 miles of your campus, and now another fire's to your north, burning south. I mean, it's just ridiculous what some of these people are going through with just fire after fire. So we're going to keep our eye on this. And as I mentioned, if I had to put a dot on a map of where I didn't want a fire to form, you know, the only windy spots we have. I mean, LA's at 2 miles per hour. Mount Wilson, that's a high elevation, only 7-mile-per-hour winds. That's where the Eaton fire is. This fire is located right where my hand is here. The only spot that's still windy. So that's why firefighters, you know, they're fighting this one. This is not an easy one. Last night the winds were down on that Sunset fire near the Hollywood sign, so it wasn't that hard to put it out. But they got 20 to 30-mile-per-hour gusts, and as we go throughout the night tonight, this is about the only windy spot we're going to have. We should see winds between 30 to 40 miles per hour all evening. And so, you know, while it's still relatively small, Hallie, they're putting everything they have on this, and you can see some boots on the ground there.
I see that. Yep.
Yeah, so they're, this is going to be interesting because you can see the winds. Hey, look how fast the winds are blowing this thing. This is not going to be an easy fight to put this thing out.
And the risk here, Bill, and we talked about this a little bit with some of our correspondents earlier, is that they're in, Bell Canyon, that area now, but when you get down off the hillside, when you get down off the slope, you're in areas that are maybe not as densely populated as something like Brentwood or Santa Monica closer into LA, but there's certainly neighborhoods, plenty of people live there. You get a little further south and you're right there along the valley, like by the 101.
Yeah, this isn't like Palisades or Aladino. This is obviously a little further out from the city center, and you can see, that picture. It looks like, you don't see any homes or any structures, but there are neighborhoods and a lot of new ones that have popped up in pockets around there. So, people said that. You said it yourself when you heard we listening. Fires have been reported near backyards.
Bill, let me pause you for a second because back on KNBC, one of their experts is talking about technically what these fire crews are doing, these boots on the ground that you mentioned. Let's listen in for a second as we're watching this live coming in.
Those are difficult conditions, and right now our alarms are going off here to tell us evacuation orders. You probably can hear them right now.
Well, if that's for you guys, I don't know if the alarm's going off. Is that for you in the studio?
I guess it's the area. It must be an area close to us. I've had
the evacuation warning here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yes, these hand crews, they could either be brought in by their hand crew, the trucks, and we call them buggies. They could be brought in, and a lot of times they're brought in by a helicopter. They'll bring in the crew, drop the crew off. The helicopter will go to wherever the helispot is and fuel up for their water or a reservoir where they can pull it right out of there. And it is hard work. They're carrying a lot of gear. It's steep terrain. Rocks are falling. They encounter rattlesnakes. It is probably one of the toughest jobs and most valuable. And the sad part is we're losing a lot of these hand crews. It's been a big concern is, with the feds, the federal government, they need more pay, and there's been a shortage of them, and we're trying to do a lot more. We need better efforts with recruitment and retention of these hand crews.
Chief Sam, what I find remarkable is that we, as Kathy mentioned, we saw about 10 fire units making their way to the scene. But the immediate and just quick nature, I mean, they waste not a single second to get where they need to be. And it's remarkable to see them already on the hill, handling business, and this was what we saw those units about, 20, 25 minutes ago.
Happened.
Yeah, even you see this dozer. I mean, to bring a dozer in, I mean, this is all within an hour. To have a dozer come in, you've seen those dozers on the freeways. They're slow moving, but they brought it in. That dozer's already out cutting lines. The hand crews are out. The strike teams are in position. Air support's in there. It's so well choreographed, and we train doing this all the time. And this is what we do because we know, living in Southern California, this is what we're up against.
Typically we talk about the choreographed nature of the aerial attack, but again, it works very much the same here on the ground as well, Chief Sam.
Sure does. It sure does. Everybody knows what they're doing, from the engines doing strike teams to patrols patrolling the area for hot spots. And then, of course, our law enforcement agencies, let's give them credit for doing the evacuation.
You have been watching
people out of
that aerial firefight there, from the air, I should say. Bell Canyon, this is a new fire that has popped up in just the last couple of hours. A brush fire at the moment, but you now have mandatory evacuation orders in place. This is in the Calabasas area. This is different and separate from the Palisades, the Eaton fire, among others we've been talking about. Those deadly fires that have created, frankly, a hellscape in Los Angeles. We're going to have more coverage coming up right now.
There you have it, you guys. So this is happening right now. I'm giving you live coverage footage of what is going on as we're hearing yet another fire has broken out in just the past hour. They're saying that this is threatening visibility on the 101. And also we are hearing that this is also coming right up to the brink of houses. There's a wall of fire that's coming up. And you can see that I'm sharing with you the live feeds. And this is coming from NBC News. And they're calling this the LA apocalypse. Let me know if you agree. If you agree, put a 3 in the comments. If you disagree, put 4. But they're saying that they have never seen winds like this. The fires are spreading. And we heard earlier from Gavin Newsom, who said that right now it is just going everywhere. They're trying to do everything they can, but there are so many fires that are happening all at once that they are trying to pull from the fire hydrants, pull from the water systems, and there's just simply not enough water not enough water at this time to go ahead and address these. And they asked, what is the deal with the water, Gavin Newsom, and the planning? And you heard him say the local people are going to have to figure it out, which was upset a lot of people with that response. And also, I shared with you earlier, Donald Trump is essentially holding Gavin Newsom accountable for this, saying he should resign because this is a result of poor management. We know that California has these fire issues, yet it is not being addressed. There is no proper planning. There is no water systems that are ready and set for this. People are absolutely being devastated, and he is saying that we need to hold Gavin Newsom accountable for this. Let me know if you agree in the comments. If you agree, drop a 47 for Donald Trump. Now, in addition to that, we also have heard that this is just the next one of several, and people are trying to still figure out where are these fires coming from? What is causing them? Now, some people are saying that they believe that there is footage circulating around that somebody is actually lighting these fires. Yet at the same time, there are people saying, no, it's just spreading from the winds. The winds have never been like this. Whatever the case is, right now, LA is on fire. Multiple fires everywhere. And like I said, I'm covering the live footage for you. We're going to dive back into this in just a second here. While you're putting those 47s in, don't forget, take a second, hit that like button for me. Help spread this out further. But let's take a look at some of these feeds so that way you can get the updates. And again, this just coming out just right now. This is coming out in the past hour. A totally new fire that is in the LA area. Strategy is saying, can you see me? Yes, I can see you guys. We are live right now. It is January the 9th, 2025, 6:03 p.m. Central Standard Time. So it's 4:03 p.m. Pacific Standard Time where the fires are taking place. Now, this is California wildfires. Live updates, 179,000 are under evacuation orders. LA County Sheriff says some areas look like a bomb was dropped. The Palisade fire has spread to almost 27 miles and destroyed more than 1,000 structures, making it the most destructive ever in Los Angeles. Now, here's a look at the one that we're following right now. You can see there is a line of fire. They said it was apparently a brush fire at first that they weren't too concerned about. Now they're trying to get ahead of it because they're saying that the smoke is causing visibility issues for the 101 freeway, and also it is coming up to the brink of a ton of houses. They're saying some of the houses are reporting that their backyards are already on fire. This is one shot of it right here. Now, scrolling down, and you can see this just came out 10 minutes ago, and it says what we know about the California wildfires. It says fierce wildfires are burning out of control in the greater Los Angeles area and have ended the lives of 5 people and forced nearly 180,000 more from their homes. Authorities said the total number of losses of life is unknown. At least 5 fires are burning, covering more than 45 square miles, sparked by dry conditions and powerful winds, causing unprecedented scenes in areas known for fires. The Palisade fires has burned through more than 17,234 acres, almost 27 square miles. It has destroyed 1,000 structures and is entirely uncontained. So again, and we heard this from Gavin Newsom earlier today, he said that this is uncontained, 0% containment at this time. More than 350,000 energy customers were without power early today, including 200,000 in LA County, the most populous county in the country. The intense Santa Ana winds, they have eased compared to the past 2 days, but the wind gusts are still forecast to be 40 to 50 miles per hour today and 50 to 70 miles per hour tonight and going into the morning. So they are concerned about these winds. They're saying luckily dying down a little bit, but they're concerned about what is going to be continuing on. Now, 12 minutes ago, photos of Los Angeles show the catastrophic scale of the devastation as blazes burn uncontrolled. And you can see all of these coming down here with all the fires that are taking place. Here's photos of neighborhoods. They said it looks like a bomb has hit it. Just all of these wiped out. The devastation from the Palisade fire on Thursday. Here's some more photos. You can see firefighters trying to spray water onto homes, trying to keep them from burning down. People looking over the wreckage in these areas. Now, this coming out 41 minutes ago, a new brush fire in Woodland Hills prompts evacuation orders. A new brush fire has emerged in the Woodland Hills area of Los Angeles near the Calabasas neighborhoods, according to the Los Angeles Fire Department. A blaze has been named the Kenneth Fire. A mandatory evacuation order has been issued for residents in the area. Officials looked to implement a curfew to prevent looting. And again, please be careful because we're hearing about this as well. If you haven't heard, there is rumors out right now, and I believe that they're saying that this is confirmed. This is just what I'm hearing, is that there are individuals that are going to people's houses telling them, you must evacuate, pretending that they are authorities. And then when people leave, they're actually robbing their houses. And there was no evacuation, mandatory evacuation that was set in place, but they're going around pretending and then robbing people's homes while all of this is going on. And also we're hearing that they are looting stores. So there's looting going on while all of the chaos is taking place. People are breaking in and stealing from shops, from people's homes, and taking advantage of this situation where people are absolutely desperate. Absolutely terrible thing that is happening right now in Los Angeles. So they're saying to be aware of the looting that is taking place as well, as authorities are trying to establish a curfew to stop that from taking place right now. So a lot going on. Please be careful and use wisdom out there with all the stuff that is going on. Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna said that the details are being worked out, but that he hoped at 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew could be in place by tonight. There have been about a dozen arrests related to looting since the fires broke out, Luna said. That is unacceptable behavior, Luna said. The mayor confirms the passing of Palisades Fire was in Malibu. One person lost their life. They have been confirmed in the Palisades Fire in Malibu. Mayor Doug Stewart said, "The victim has not yet been identified. This is tragic news, weighs heavily on our hearts," Stewart said. "Malibu is more than a city. We are neighbors, friends, and family. Even when we don't know someone's name, their loss is felt by all of us," he said. Firefighters say watching his home burn down was surreal. So there you can see the updates coming out in roughly the past hour, as we now have yet another fire that is being reported on that is taking place. Let's go ahead and take a look at the live feed and see if they've got any more information coming out as this new one is now hitting. Let's see what they've got to say.
You heard that family there. This is your community here. First of all, how are you doing?
This has been a horrific few days here in the Pacific Palisades. These are my friends and my neighbors, not just my constituents.
So when you see this, I mean, do you think, can this be rebuilt? Do you think, where do we go from here? I got to be honest, I cover a lot of disasters, and wildfires are some of the worst because you can't even make out what you're looking at. Can you rebuild from this?
The scope and the scale of the loss here is catastrophic. Early assessments are estimating over $50 billion in losses. I think that it's probably much higher than that. The city of Los Angeles has never had to do a recovery operation at the scale that is going to be required here for Pacific Palisades, but we have no choice but to use this both as a wake-up call and an opportunity to bring this community back and to rebuild the Palisades. And I will insist that the city of LA do everything necessary to ensure it happens.
If we can take politics out of this next question, right? And you're talking to a family that lives in the Palisades. How do you explain to them the water pressure issue? And I'm just asking if you can make it as simple as possible, because people in Los Angeles and California, they pay so much for taxes. This is a great city. And that the firefighters didn't have what they need, to me, I can't understand that.
So a confluence of things occurred that created the issue, but because there was about 4 times the normal demand on the water load, coupled with hoses that were left on, pipes that were bursting and melting because of the fire situation, the water pressure was so low that they were unable to pump it and get it to the places that it needed to be. And it, also is just, this was a wildfire that roared through a dense community all the way down to Pacific Coast Highway. That is a type of fire that you would normally fight with air assets. You don't fight a forest fire with a fire hydrant and a fire engine, but that is what we were left with under the circumstances. And obviously, it's presented challenges not only during the peak of the fight, but today and now all over the region.
Is there any truth to the people that say there's an issue with the reservoirs and the flow of water into certain communities? Is there something there?
So we are going to have to get answers to those questions. There very well may be. We know that here, because the pressure was so low, they didn't even have enough to get it up some of the steep terrain and geography. And now the water conditions are so bad that we are actually bringing it in to the area because there is nothing available. And I also want residents to know at this point, the water quality is so bad that DWP has issued a new order to not drink it or use it at all. Don't even boil it.
One of our colleagues, Jacob Soboroff, was just here. This is his community. He was telling me that, and we've heard this from other people, they've just been kicked off their insurance or they're not covered for fire. If that is the case, what do you tell your residents who don't have fire insurance and they now have nothing?
So I actually personally spoke to Insurance Commissioner Lara today. He has committed to me that he is going to fight for all of the insurance resources that are going to be necessary. We are currently working with our partners at FEMA and the federal government to assess how we're going to increase aid and to do everything that we can in our power to make these folks whole. But the hard reality here is the Palisades are gone. We are going to have to rebuild an entire neighborhood and community from scratch. This is a very, very long road ahead and devastating.
I have to tell you, this does remind me of Lahaina. And we were there in Hawaii, and I knew all the problems they dealt with during the fire, after the fire, even months later. What are you telling your residents right now? How do they cope in the next month or so?
So we're pushing information out, letting them know that in coming days, we'll be working very closely with FEMA and the Red Cross to set up community recovery centers, places where folks can go to begin the process of getting essential documents, filing insurance claims, registering for FEMA benefits. So that's going to be the initial push of this. But, you know, I wanted to add here that, you know, as we're talking about some of the issues that occurred suppressing this fire and what lies ahead with the recovery process, you know, we have had chronic underinvestment in critical infrastructure in Los Angeles for many, many decades now.
Give me an example. Give me break through the
our water
language.
Our water systems, for example, our Department of Water and Power. We have pipes under the ground in the city that are over 100 years old in many places. Environmental catastrophes waiting to happen everywhere. Power lines coming down is a known issue and source of wildfire here in California.
So whose fault is that? Who needs to fix that?
So we are still investigating currently what the cause of this fire was, and we don't know. But the inability to get the water resources here that we need is indicative of those systemic failures, coupled with chronic underinvestment in our own fire department. We have 100 rigs sitting in a boneyard and no mechanics to fix them. And we just, according to a standard of cover report that we had at the end of December, we need 62 new fire stations in the city of Los Angeles just
even before this.
Before this, even just to meet basic daily needs. And we heard Chief Maroney from LA County Fire say yesterday, we are not adequately staffed to respond to and deal with an emergency at this scale.
And as you're telling me this, I can feel the wind pick up a little bit, and it gets me nervous because I know that's really the main ingredient to make this thing even worse. You guys have been dealing with the last 3 days. Councilwoman Park, we thank you. We'll be thinking about you and praying for your community.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We want to stay on the topic of the struggle.
So there you have it, you guys. Now, in addition to that, as you heard them talk about the struggle with the water and the lack thereof in Los Angeles, and they're saying that they have been trying to pull water from the fire hydrants, and they have run dry. You can see them actually showing this clip right here of this right now. Well, I wanted to share with you, we actually saw some backlash on this today from Donald Trump, who said that this is Gavin Newsom's fault. This is poor management, that he is not setting things up. I actually shared with you the clip earlier where Gavin Newsom came out and said, hey, the local people have to figure it out. That was his response. The local people have to figure it out because we're used to having 1 or 2 fires at a time. We can handle that, but to have multiple at once, we just got to figure it out. So they're trying to bring water in. Well, let me go ahead and share with you the back and forth between these two so that way you can see it for yourself. Let's go ahead and take a look at this article here just for a second before we switch back to the live feeds so that way you can see what's going on here. California wildfires, water supply becomes a flashpoint in the Trump-Newsom fight. Now, this article says the blazes burning across the Los Angeles regions are not only devastating property and lives, but also fueling political arguments over how to fight the fires, with President-elect Trump blaming state officials for the dearth of available water supplies. So they are saying there's just simply not enough water to make sure that everyone has what they need at this time. A social media brawl began Wednesday after Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, LADPW, efforts to fill 3 1 million gallon storage tanks left some Pacific Palisades fire hydrants high and dry. Extreme water demand had surpassed the speed with which the higher elevation tanks could be replenished, according to the LADPW. Trump soon after took to Truth Social, blaming the insufficient supply on Governor Gavin Newsom, who he accused of blocking efforts to pump more water from Northern California to Los Angeles' region. But experts maintain that moving more water in the manner would be impractical for an infrastructure perspective, as well as wholly unnecessary. Would that have made any significant difference in the terms of what we're experiencing right now with these forest fires and the damage they are creating? Asked Kurt Schwabe, a professor of environmental economics and policy at University of California, Riverside. I would say no, he told The Hill, noting that reservoirs statewide are currently in good shape. There is this level of dryness in Southern California, but you're not going to irrigate all the forest. Now, Trump on Wednesday night called for Newsom to resign. And if you missed that video, I did it earlier for you, as he said he should step down as the governor. This is irresponsible maintenance of the state. And if you agree, put a 47 in the comments. Now, if you disagree, put CA for California for the Governor Gavin Newsom. Let me know your thoughts. And also don't forget to hit the like button if you appreciate the updates. Keeping you up to speed just takes a second. Help spread this out further. Trump on Wednesday night called for Newsom to resign, following up on an earlier post in which he slammed the governor for failing to sign a declaration that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snow melt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in the virtually apocalyptic way. And we keep hearing that. They're saying right now California is going through the apocalypse. The governor's office quickly decried the accusations as pure fiction, writing on social platform X that there is no such document as the Water Restoration Declaration, and that Newsom is focused on protecting people, not playing politics, and making sure firefighters have all the resources that they need. Trump was likely referring to water from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta, or the Bay Delta, which supplies drinking water to nearly 27 million residents through the State Water Project, according to the California Department of Water Resources. Now, but the city of Los Angeles actually gets much of its water elsewhere, with about 38% of the drinking water in 2023, the most recent year with data available coming from Los Angeles aqueducts, according to the LADPW. Now, the aqueduct shuttles water from the Owens River Valley in the eastern Sierra Nevada to the city, rather than from the Northern California Bay Delta. Another 9% of the city's 2023 drinking water came from the local groundwater and 2% from recycled wastewater, while 51% was imported from the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. Only 30% of the Metropolitan District's water originated in the Northern Sierra, as 20% comes from the Colorado River and 50% form a mix of the other resources. Now, on Wednesday night, Newsom announced that the state was mobilizing up to 140 water tank trucks to help fight the Eaton and Palisades fires. The 2,500-gallon vessels were joining about 23 that were already on the ground, according to his office. Now, in the same announcement, his team noted that the state started tracking this weather event closely over the weekend and began pre-positioning resources on Sunday. The governor, his office added, is in constant touch with local, state, and federal leaders, including President Biden. Earlier in the day, Biden had approved Newsom's request for a presidential major disaster declaration, which made federal assistance available to bolster emergency response costs. Now, Daniel Swain, a University of California, Los Angeles climate scientist, addressed the issue of preparedness in a webinar the same day, noting that there was a lot of pre-positioning of resources, which likely saved lives. This event scared people as much as a week before it occurred in terms of the weather forecasting world, he said. In fact, it is possibly only because of those dire prognostications that things weren't even worse. I'm pretty sure there are people who are alive right now who would not have been alive had those pre-positioned resources not been in place, Swain added. Nonetheless, Trump followed up with an additional criticism on Thursday morning today by denouncing the gross incompetence by Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, referring to the mayor of Los Angeles, while adding that Biden's FEMA has no money, all wasted on the Green New scam. Now, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, has authorized the use of federal funds to assist California in combating multiple fires in the Los Angeles area and said it is making assistance available to people impacted by the blazes. As far as pumping more water from the north to the south is concerned, Schwabe from UC Riverside stressed that doing so would have had virtually no impact on what we are experiencing right now. Now, instead, Schwabe described the ongoing crisis as a local preparedness issue in the sense that cities need to account for the changing climate regime in the future planning and placement of resources. For example, he suggested that rather than just relying on 3 tanks in the Pacific Palisades, officials could form partnerships with adjacent communities that might be able to share tanks during times of crises. Now, repositioning and diversifying supply sources, Schwabe explained, would be more strategic than increasing the amount of water flowing to the region. He likened the situation to a household fire in which the residents have only one garden hose and ask their neighbors to borrow another one. Similar to that household, Schwabe explained Southern California will probably need more garden hoses and bigger garden hoses in the future. Patrick Reed, a professor of civil and environmental engineering at Cornell University, echoed these sentiments, identifying a division between 2 elements of Los Angeles' water management, the crisis response and long-term planning. The Pacific Palisades water tank situation was reflective of extraordinary demands that local officials were facing in managing an immense crisis, Reed said in an email statement. So there you have it, you guys. We are hearing right now, they're saying that there has been a major shortfall in the water that is needed, and we are seeing yet another fire that is breaking out. So yet again, we are seeing one take place, and we are taking a look at the NBC live coverage of this, of the new wildfire that is prompting mandatory evacuations in Bell County area in Los Angeles. Now, again, not to be confused with the Hollywood Hills fire that started last night, or the Palisades, or the Eaton. There are so many fires that are now breaking out. We're hearing yet another one is taking place right now. Let's switch back so you can hear the live coverage.
When my son-in-law grabbed me like this and said, "No, we got to go." Wow. And I was like, "No, man." And I turned around and I was like, "Man, I can't go, bro. 51 years, man, I've been in this house."
Shortly after Rupert was forced to flee the neighborhood, we arrived to find what felt like a hurricane of fire. In the chaos, we spotted a horse alone and trapped in an inferno and ran to get help. This is firefighter Garrett Mora jumping to action.
I was keeping him cool. I sprayed some water around him.
Today, when we met up with Garrett again, we learned the horse survived. But across the way, Jose de la Torre shows us what was the garage full of landscaping tools he had just invested in. Now his livelihood, along with almost everything else, gone in an instant. So often we hear they escaped only with the clothes on their back.
I didn't get anything. This is it. Look at my shoes. See? These are my house slippers.
Tonight, that is the shared and terrible reality.
You work hard for your American dream. And
for so many in a community who came face to face with these flames.
Tom, out here in Altadena, so much heartbreak. We've seen similar things in what you've seen out there in the Palisades, people coming back to their homes, finding absolutely nothing left, down to the foundations. I mean, this building right here, this used to be an elementary school, then it became a community center. It is the outlier in the neighborhood because the building still has walls. And so many of the streets that we've been up and down, these structures are completely gone. The only thing that is left left is that melted metal and the concrete foundation. So many people absolutely heartbroken.
Gotti Schwartz and his team covering those fires on the east side of Los Angeles. Gotti, we appreciate all your reporting. Some of those who were forced to evacuate getting their first look at what remained of their homes today. One of those people who lost everything is Miles Partain. He's a Pacific Palisades resident, and his name might sound familiar, and that's because he's an Olympic beach volleyball player. He currently evacuated and staying at a hotel in Marina del Rey. Miles, thanks so much for joining us tonight here on Top Story. I'm really sorry that I'm talking to you under these conditions. First off, how are you doing, and what did you see today or when you returned home?
Yeah, it's really tough, but our homes are fully burned down. We went back yesterday before the blockades went up, and me and my dad on our e-bikes and electric scooter just went through our town, and it's like 80–90% of the homes are gone. All my close friends' homes except for one is gone. Yeah. It sucks.
You know, it's interesting. We were meeting with firefighters today over on the beach. I think it's the Will Rogers Beach, and I was sort of struck at how many beach volleyball nets there were out there. Right? I didn't even know we were going to talk today. So I got to think that this community, it is your livelihood and it is your life.
Yeah, I grew up playing at some of those nets. A lot of Randy Soklos is a great player. He ran a bunch of tournaments for us. I heard he stayed up all night protecting his house, and successfully is what I heard. But yeah, a bunch of my friends, my friend had a mini volleyball court in his house by our high school, all burned down. It's really sad.
What do you want the country to do for this area, and what do you want to make sure that people understand about what's happening here?
I know our rec center burned down where I played rec league basketball. My dad coached that team. That would be great to be built up in just a beautiful way. I'm glad the village is still standing with all the restaurants and a lot of that. Our high school needs to be repaired a bit. So does the Pali Elementary School. And then in addition to that, if people don't have home insurance, I know that's tough for some people who bought when they were 1980s, 90s, low property tax basis. So I just hope there's a lot of support for those people.
Are you and your family going to stay here? Are you going to rebuild, or try to at least?
We're considering it. Depends how home insurance, how the rental options go, some stuff with our family. But it definitely, living in a semi-wasteland for 5-6 years during construction isn't as attractive as Palisades a few days ago. So that's definitely a factor. We'll see. I got some school things I have to attend to, and LA 28 Olympics is coming too. It's kind of nice to live close to that, but we might go to San Diego or Hermosa Beach, or we're not sure yet.
Miles Partain, I know a lot of families are going through the same thing you guys are going through right now. We thank you for sharing your story, and we hope those funds and those resources come to the Palisades.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
For more of these fire conditions as we head into the evening, NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns joins us tonight. So, Bill, look, the only question I really have for you is the Santa Ana winds. What is happening, and are they going to come back?
The offshore flow, Santa Ana winds are going to periodically come back over the next couple of days. One of the events is going to be tonight. It's not going to be like what it was, but it is going to flare up. And we've had a couple developments in just the last 2 hours. The main one being the Kenneth fire just forming. So on the radar, we can actually see the smoke plume. So here's Calabasas. The 101 comes through here, heading up towards Thousand Oaks. And you can see this flare up, and then all of a sudden, all that smoke heading down towards Malibu. When this flared up, they told all the aerial support that was on the Palisades fire, head to this one. This was a burning fast. It was in higher winds, and there is a major fight going on right now on the ground and the air to get this under control. It was at 10 acres. Now it's up to 50 acres. It's not in a densely populated area, but there are homes threatened, and there are new evacuations. And the other thing, Tom, that was just interesting that happened 10-15 minutes ago, when they put the evacuation order out for that, by mistake, it went out to the entire of LA County. So everyone in LA County got an evacuation emergency and wondering what is going on, wondering if there's like a new fire they didn't know about. That was in air. So they have since corrected that, but you and your crew may have gotten that also. Answering your question about the winds, that new fire is literally in the only windy spot we have. Everywhere else is in the single digits here. Even the top of Mount Wilson, where the Eaton fire is not bad, 7 miles per hour. But this new fire is located right in here where we have 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts. And later tonight, we do expect the winds to gust to 40, maybe 50, where that Kenneth fire is located. That's why they are throwing everything they have at the Kenneth fire right now, because they know later tonight we're going to get winds here 30 to 40 miles per hour, maybe 50, and they do not want this fire to take off and to burn over the 101, cross the 101, and then make a run down towards the coast. That would be the worst case scenario. So hopefully they'll do exactly what they did last night with that Sunset fire in the Hollywood area. They'll knock it down quick, and that'll be it. But that's one of the stories to watch, Tom. And the other thing I'll tell you is that Tuesday night into Wednesday, we are predicting the chance for another strong Santa Ana wind event in Southern California. That'll be the next really scary night to watch.
Yeah, Bill,
wow, so there you have it, you guys. So they are saying that this is increasing yet again, another fire that is taking place right now. We had the Sunset Fire last night. We've got another one right now over by the, it says life-threatening wildfires prompt evacuations across Southern California. We had the new one that has just come out as well. And so they are trying to take care of all of these wildfires. This one in the Bell Canyon area. And they are saying that if we do not knock these out before next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, there is expected to be some severe winds and that it is going to just get worse. And we heard earlier that this was just the beginnings because 0% containment on these fires. They are just spreading out even further. So we will see. Somebody's asking, do you think that these are the sleeper cells at work? They could be. We have very little information regarding why they're starting, how they're starting. Last night we were watching about the Hollywood Hills one that took place, the Sunset Fire they were calling it, and they said that they had no answers and that they didn't believe that it was winds that took off. So a lot of speculation about these actually being started by individuals. So I have no idea, though. As more information comes out, though, I will be sure to share. But yet another fire taking place here. And they are saying this particular one, they do not want it to jump across the 101. And also the smoke is causing visibility issues, and it is coming up on houses as well. And we are seeing that Donald Trump is saying this is Gavin Newsom's fault. A lot of people also very upset with the mayor who went out of town to Africa while these warnings were in place and then came back, and she was confronted by a lot of people, by reporters, and a lot of people saying that this was absolutely devastating, her lack of response, and that something needs to be done to help people, yet she was out of town in Africa. And so a lot of people saying that they need to be held accountable for all of the stuff that is currently taking place. But like I said, this is the latest information coming out. This new fire is now starting up in just the past hour. As more comes out, I will keep you guys up to speed on everything. And if you appreciate that, do me a favor, if you haven't done so yet, hit that like button. Hit subscribe to stay up to date. And thank you so much for the super chats. Someone worse than you is saying, read my super chat. Let me see. If you sent a super chat while I was watching the feed, I apologize if I didn't read it. It says North Carolina, Hawaii. Oh, excuse me. That's Mr. Hernandez's. Thank you for that, Mr. Hernandez. Oh, I apologize. It looks like the super chat has disappeared. They're on a timer. They only last so long. I apologize. I missed the super chat. But I see that Chris Hernandez is saying, call me cynical, but I doubt it. He's saying that he believes that they're going to be abandoning Los Angeles. Oh, man, we will see. I will keep you guys up to speed on everything. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will catch you in the next one. Hit the like button if you appreciate the updates. Helps out the channel a ton. Subscribe to stay up to date, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.